can get really started. Hi. Good morning, everybody. It's a sunny day. We had some rain last night here in western Michigan. And today's Tinkerstream is about dirt. It's the lowdown dirty on dirt. I know that sounds weird, but it's kind of a fun topic, and I'll show you how. Parents, you might want to Google dirt cake while we're at this, because it's kind of an easy, fun recipe, and it'll be a fun follow-up snack for this. So, Jamie, can you get a picture of what? Oh, there's a little micro beast on our sign. So we're going to talk about these things today: hydroponics, soil stew, and compost. And we're going to talk about making food not waste a little bit when we talk about compost. So I put that sticker there. Also, I wanted to show you 3 really neat books about where dirt comes from. Where does dirt come from besides our feet and sometimes our shoes and our clothes? And I gotta talk kind of loud because one of my neighbors has some outside work going on. But really what dirt is, and if you've ever had a chance to go and look or get a magnifying glass and look at dirt, you might notice that it's teeny tiny little pieces of stuff. Well, most dirt starts out as different kinds of rocks. This is a book that's really a great book. It's from the Amazing Science series, and it's called Rocks. Hard, soft, smooth, and rough. And actually, those are ways that we learn how to classify rocks. And this is a really great introductory book about gems and minerals and fossils and sediment. Because I live along the lakeshore of Lake Michigan, we have a lot of sedimentary rock and sediment in our dirt. So that's a really great book. It looks like it's a really simple book, but that would be good for maybe 2nd, 3rd graders. Another book is If You Find a Rock. And this is another one, but it has real pictures of kids finding different kinds of rocks and different names of different rocks. And look at that giant rock. He's standing on a giant rock. So I don't think that's going to turn into dirt very soon. And how some rocks are so soft you can use them for chalk. So that's a really neat book. If you're looking for ideas, that would be a great morning book to read, and then go out and do so and look for some of the kind of rocks in the book. And this is a really fun book. This is If Rocks Could Sing. Get it? Rock and roll. Okay, but what it is it's an alphabet. It's an alphabet. Someone went out and found the entire alphabet in rocks. If rocks could sing. And look at some of these rocks look like fish, and oh look, look at these are rocks are singing. It's a K is for kick, and that looks like a foot kicking that ball. L is for lemon, an L-looking shaped rock, and these are all natural rocks. This author took a long time finding rocks. So that's kind of where dirt and soil come from. It rained here last night, like I said. I wanted to make sure that my books don't get dirty. So first, let's talk about seeds. I wanted to talk about seeds because we did talk about garden yesterday. So I found a picture. It's got all kinds of different kinds of seeds on it. And some of these seeds we actually eat. These look like they might be pumpkin seeds. Oh, these are pumpkin seeds over here. We eat peanuts, and peanuts are a kind of seed. Peas, beans, different kinds of beans, oats, corn. So those are different kinds of seeds that we eat. I wanted to show you one of my friends actually harvests seeds. So at the end of the growing season, or sometimes before she eats the last of her crop, she actually gets the seeds. These are San Marzano tomato seeds from Italy. So these are authentic seeds from different kinds of plants that she had. Cherry tomato seeds. So those are different kinds of seeds. And tomato seeds are easy to find because they're that slimy stuff. But I wanted to show you this seed that grew on my countertop. There's no soil under it. What is going on? It's an onion. An onion is actually not a seed, but it's called a bulb. And bulbs are they're kind of like bigger seeds, but they have the food for the seed right around it. That's why there's no dirt, there's no water, there's no nothing for this seed. And this onion is actually growing a blossom on it. So that's a bulb. Yep, that's part of the onions, the outer layer of the onion. So now would be a good time, I guess, to talk about hydroponics. And a lot of adults are discovering hydroponics because you don't have to depend on the quality of the dirt you're growing in. Hydro means water or wet. So hydroponics are plants that grow in water. I have all over my house little plants, little clippings. I have a plant that I call the grandfather plant. I bought it in 2012, so it's 8 years old now. And when it gets too big, I just take a clipping off it, and rather than putting the clipping in the garbage, I put the clipping in a cup, and the clipping itself grows its own roots. Oh, look, and I can actually show you. This one actually has some new roots growing right there. These are some older roots. And the plant said, you know what, I really am done with those. So the plant has actually made some more roots. And it's growing in nothing but water. So I'm going to show you how you can start. It says up there, plants and food and water. So we are actually going to start our own hydroponic plant. And it's actually a piece of food. So you'll want a jar. Doesn't matter what size. And we are going to grow Jamie's favorite food, potatoes. Potatoes are a really easy thing to grow hydroponically.
Really easy thing to eat.
Or in air, because if you've ever left them on your pantry shelf too long. But to hold this up out of the water so that it knows which way to grow, we're going to give it arms. We're going to make it north, south, east, and west arms. Now I said hydroponics. And what does hydro mean?
Water.
Water. So I just happen to have a milk jug that I filled with water earlier. And we're gonna fill it, not quite to the top, because we want the potato to know where it's supposed to be growing. So touching the water a little bit. Let's give it a little more room to grow here. So we are going to grow a hydroponic potato.
Yum.
So try that at home and send me a message and let me know how your hydroponic potato grows. Another thing you can grow hydroponically is feed corn. If you take an ear of corn that you see like at Thanksgiving or something, and you put it in a pie tin, just set it in a pie tin with a little layer of water and keep it watered. I've had a corn cob sprout tons of other corn off of it before. It's kind of crazy and it's a lot of fun. So hydroponic planting is a lot of fun to do. When I was younger, I wanted to see if that actually worked. So I started a potato in a jar just like that. And within no time, it started to outgrow its jar. And my mom said, will you do something with this potato? Okay. Well, I had a plant in my room that wasn't really growing much, so I took my potato, dug its roots down into the dirt in the pot in the corner of my bedroom, and before long my plant was a foot tall. The roots were coming out of the bottom of the pot and it had outgrown the pot. So I had to get that thing out of my room before it put a hole in my room. So I went out and I took it outside, just this one little potato plant, and I dug a hole in our kind of sandy soil, but it must have had enough nutrients in it, because I planted that plant. And in August, when I went to go see what was going on, I had 8 tiny little baby potatoes hanging off that one potato plant. So these potatoes are a great thing to start hydroponically. Next, we're going to make soil stew. Now, soil stew isn't something that you're going to eat. So don't eat this. But what you do need to know is that different kinds of dirt are good for different things to grow in. Plants get what they need to grow, just like you get what you need to grow from the food that you eat, from getting some sunshine and drinking a lot of water. And those are the 3 things that plants need too. So where do plants get their food? Well, when they're only in the seed and they're underground, those roots that I showed you coming out of that plant hydroponically, they're getting the nutrients they need from the water. So every now and then you need to refresh the water in your hydroponics. But when they're down in the dirt like our seeds are out in the garden, they get the roots go down and get the nutrients out of the soil itself. So if there aren't any nutrients in something, the plants aren't going to grow. Just like if you eat things that are just sugar or fat, you aren't going to grow either. You could get really sick because parts of your body need those nutrients to grow. So to kind of show you what kind of nutrients are in what kind of soil, now I know you're going to say, Shannon, I go to the beach and there's grass coming out of that sand. That's a specialized kind of plant. And that plant's job is to help hold that sand at the beach. Okay? So different kinds of soil can support different kinds of plants. But if you want to grow beautiful flowers and wonderful tasting vegetables and fruits, you need soil that has some nutrient in it. So we're going to start, I'm going to show you what different kinds of soils have in them. Now normally what you could do, and what moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas and farmers do, is they take a little bit of their dirt that they're going to plant their food in, or their plants in, and they take it and they put it in a container and they send it to a laboratory. And the laboratory breaks down all the little chemicals and whatever is in that soil to tell the farmer or tell your moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas what is in that dirt. I don't have a laboratory like that. But what I can show you is how thicker soil and heavier soil makes for better nutrient-rich soil. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you different kinds of soil that we've got. Let me move this out of the way a little bit so you can see it clearly. So I have another empty jar, and Jamie and I this morning took a little field trip, and I'll put this out where you guys can see it. Can you tell what that is? Maybe it's a little wet. It's really grainy. Uh-oh. Really super grainy. You can see on my fingers. And maybe if I put some on this paper, you can see. Little teeny tiny, there's little black specks in that. And if you guessed sand, you would be right. Jamie and I went to the beach this morning, and we can play with the sand. You can play with the sand if you want. And Jamie and I found beach sand. So I'm going to put some beach sand in my jar. Might as well just do this because, come on, it's sand. I love sand.
Sand is icky.
I'm going to leave some of it, though, because, we'll do art and stuff with it later. Sand is not icky. Now, if you look at the sand, though, it's really loose. It breaks up really easily. This sand is wet, so it's not going to break up as easily as drier sand does. But if you look at it out here on the table, it breaks apart really easily. It doesn't hold together very much, but it holds on to water really well. So the next kind of soil I have, now I show you two different jars. These look a lot alike, don't they? One's kind of a little bit darker. Remember, making observations is science. Observing is a very important scientific element. This black dirt has little white specks in it. It's a little darker. This black dirt looks like it's got some plants and stuff in it, and it's a little browner. The darker dirt is actually called potting soil. Some of this was made in the lab, and the dirt was mixed with some nutrients and some other things to make it so that it would help your plants grow really, really strong, really, really fast. So this is some good dirt we got in here. But a stew has all different kinds of things in it. So we're going to put that black dirt on top of our sand. So there's our sand, and there's our potting soil. Well, Shannon, what about this other stuff? Well, let me pour that out for you so you can see it. I don't see any micro beasts in there, no bugs. I do see lots of roots. And it almost looks like, oh, I found a plant. That's actually really good to have dirt like this in your yard. But if you look, it almost looks like there's some sand mixed in. See how it's crumbly like the sand was? Okay, guess what? It's going into our stew too.
Yum.
Now you can almost see the 3 layers here. Let me see. You can see the potting soil with its white dots there. Sand, potting soil, and then our regular dirt from the garden. So, now comes the fun part. When you're making stew, you need some kind of juice or gravy or broth. For our stew, we are going to add water. What do you think the water is going to do? You think everything's going to stay nice and like lines like it is now? Oh, did you see the bubbles coming out? Can you see them from the top, Jay? Why don't you show the top? Because there's stuff floating around in there. So I'm not going to fill it all the way to the top. There's bubbles in the top. Oh, this is interesting. There's a little bit of foam on the top. Sometimes foam on soil and foam in water means that there's chemicals in there. I'm wondering where those chemicals came from. If they came from the soil in our yard. Hopefully not PFAS. Jamie said PFAS. Okay, so that doesn't look very, oh, but you can look, Jamie, look, this is really neat. So the sand is on the bottom, the potting soil, the regular dirt, and then there's things floating around in that water, because you know I put clear, clean water in there. Oh, looks like there's a plant in there. We can already start seeing some things floating around. Okay, you ready?
Shaken, not stirred.
Shake, 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 shake. Flowers, stem, leaves and roots, leaves and roots. Flowers, stem, leaves and roots, leaves and roots. I want to get it moving really, really fast. So if you look really closely at what's happening, what's already happening down here? What's gone to the bottom already? The sand has already traveled to the bottom. And the rest of the soil is at the top. Sand can grow things, but it doesn't have as many nutrients in it. We're gonna let that sit and see how much more stuff falls out of the water. So that's our soil stew. Now we're gonna go out to the garden. And this is the part that Jamie doesn't want to, Jamie isn't fond of. But we're gonna go out there anyway because we are gonna go talk about compost.
Head notice, it's gonna smell.
It can smell. Jamie's right.
Will.
Compost can smell because we're actually going to take things that that we would normally throw away that nature gave us in the first place, and we're going to go see how it turns back into stuff we can use. So I have a banana peel in a basket.
You're welcome.
My compost basket for today.
That's usually our bread basket, isn't it?
No, our bread basket's on the counter. Some of the birds have been picking at our nesting ball. You can see that some of the wool is out of it and gone. Excuse you, Jay.
Excuse me.
Oh, look at our onion is really going to turn. It really likes it out here. Now, what I did was because we still have cold weather here in Michigan. We are still getting 30 degrees temperatures at night. So I have to tuck my garden in at night. And then I usually wake it up in the morning. Hello, birds. So I wanted to show you, though. I will wake up my garden here before I start playing the compost. I know. What are you doing? I think the birds are talking to me.
Want me to get the logs off?
Yeah, if you want to take the log off, that's fine. Usually I don't wear gloves when I'm gardening, or I wear my gardening gloves. So Jamie's gonna help me wake up my garden.
Hey, found What was?
A stick. Here, can you hold this so I can get my other glove on? And I can get the rest of the tarp off. So the reason I use a clear plastic tarp is so that if you look, this is all on the inside, all this condensation. Remember we talked about that during the water cycle? That's all water on the inside of my tarp. Can you get the other side, Jan?
Hey, we only get our blankets off half an hour.
Here we go.
Plus, now we just watered it.
Yeah, now I gotta see what's growing and what's growing on over here. Oh, I have a green pepper popping up.
You do?
Yep, there's a green pepper. I don't think any of my lettuce is sprouting up yet though.
Oh, wow.
Maybe. If you look though, friends, that you can see that there's most of this is sandier soil, so it wasn't that nutrient rich. So what I did was, and you can see these pieces of white are actually pieces of paper that didn't burn, but a lot of this is ash. If you look at this white stuff, and ashes have a lot of really good nutrient in them. So what I did was I kind of mixed some of the ashes in with my soil. Do we have any? These are my cucumbers. I don't see any of my cucumbers coming up yet.
Onion.
My onion's going crazy over there. That was another onion like the one we saw over there. You can kind of see it's got multiple stalks on it.
Infinite onion. And that's the potatoes.
The potato crops. This one started to grow again. Oh, look at this one. He's got green on him. He's growing again. This one's got some growth on it too. Ooh! That one's growing crazy too. So it looks like some of our starters that we started inside are gonna do great outside. I'm gonna tie my shoe real quick. Jamie, don't get a picture from this angle. But you can go over the composter.
Onion.
And Jamie's like, do I have to go by the composter? It doesn't smell yet.
Yeah.
Too badly anyway. So over here, I have my composter.
This
is actually a compost pile right here.
I thought this was your first garden.
This used to be a garden, but it turned into a compost pile. This is mullein, which is really healthy for you. And I'm gonna pull this mullein out of here so I can transplant it somewhere else. But if you look, this was just sand. The weeds had started overtaking it, and I said, I need a bigger garden. I need more space. So this was our compost pile last year. This doesn't look like, this is what's left of some melons and some newspaper. Lots of newspaper. The worms haven't found this yet. But if you look underneath it, some of this is beautiful black dirt now. There's some eggshell left over that didn't get composted. A lot of this is really beautiful. Oh, there's a rock. Speaking of rocks, if you look, this is more good dirt than it is bad dirt. So I'm gonna put this all back in its pile so it can decompose somewhere. Now, this is a composter that I bought, but it's really easy, and most people that grow their own food now will have their own compost piles. And when you do a compost means decomposing. The way to think of composting is taking things that you would normally throw away that came from the ground and giving it back to the ground so it can grow more for you. There is so much food waste that goes into our landfills that really shouldn't. It should be returned to the land. And that's not just food waste. Some composting also includes yard waste. We have a great big leaf pile back there, and we'll take a look at that, and it'll show you how composting breaks things down. My composter, I just restarted it for the spring. The reason I'm turning it is because you kind of have to stir things up or it ends up looking like that over there, so it's not, you can't use it as quickly. And when you compost, you have to think of it as green and brown. Green stuff is the stuff from your kitchen, like the banana peels and eggshells. And green stuff is stuff from out here, like leaves. So even though this hasn't sat very long, I'm gonna go ahead and empty it so you can kind of see the kind of stuff that we put in it and how it's starting to break down. Jamie's like, no. Yes, it can smell really bad. But the first thing you notice is the heat. The heat in our composter. You can notice that right away. Here, Jay, you want to hold on that? Okay.
Or drop it.
Or drop it. So this side's been composting for over a year. This sat through the winter, and this was just started a couple weeks ago.
One of my many orange peels.
Yeah, orange peels shouldn't be in the composter. Ugh. Oh, but you can see some of these things degrading down. Important safety tip, flowers that you get from a florist do not biodegrade. So you can see that our leaves haven't broken down very much, but if you look, there's some eggshells that are breaking down. Look at those leaves are breaking down, and they're turning into, there's a banana peel that's being broken down. It looks like rot, and rot is what you want, because rot is what's going to turn this, oh look at the corn cob. Rot is what's going to turn this into dirt. Look at it. Good soil, good dirt, okay? And if you look at what came out of the other side of the composter, it's already broken down a lot. Look at that. That's after it sat all winter. So we're gonna leave this here, and I'm gonna add another banana peel.
Yeah.
And I'll come out in a little while and rake all this up and mulch it all in and get it all broken up into the rest of what we have over here. And it'll start to break down again. Okay? One more trip I wanna make over to compost is our natural compost. It kind of bothers me when I see people raking their leaves and putting them in bags and sending them someplace else, when you can compost them in your yard and make your own good dirt. This is the accumulation of
over 3 years.
Yeah, about 3 years worth of leaves. And my husband just added some. Now, I'm going to be kind of careful because I know that the snakes in the area have been waking up. And this is the kind of place that they would like to just kind of hibernate and stay warm. There's a lot of nice sunlight. Even our leaves aren't out on our trees yet, but this pile gets really warm when it's decomposing. Compost gets warm. It's how you know it's working. So on the very top are the leaves my husband dumped yesterday. But if you look, I'm going to dig down a little bit here. Just taking off one. Jamie, can you come here really close? There's a worm, yay! That's something my garden's missing. Hello, worm. Worms are really important.
You just wants to leave your
Yep,
hand.
we're going to put them down in there and cover them back up. Worms mean things are really fertile and good. So if you look, I just took off one layer of leaves and look at how dark that all is already. If I keep digging down, look at that. Those oh, another worm. Another couple worms.
A snake.
No. No. But if you look, this is starting to break down. I'm gonna get really deep in there, and we've got good dark dirt. So it's kind of hard when I see people throwing their leaves away, when I know they could be really helping their ecosystem in their own yards by leaving those leaves to decompose. There's somewhere I dug it last year for my garden, for black dirt for the garden. Looks like one of my neighbors has been using the back end of their lattice and decomposing. This looks like a juniper tree. I think those are juniper berries. I'm not sure. Maybe one of my friends can tell me what kind of berries these are. I think they're juniper though. They smell really good.
That mint? Or is that just weed?
No, that's not mint.
It's just weed.
It's not a weed. I would not step on it, just to be
So naturally I step on it.
And there is more juniper berries. And another pine. I'm wondering if this is a Scotch pine. I'm not sure about my pine tree. So one more stop back here.
Wood.
No, I wanted to show you I have some trees that are budding. So if you have the sniffles right now, one of the things you're probably experiencing are allergies. I'll show you how to take gloves off the right way here. Actually, this isn't the right way, but it's one of the ways that you do it so you don't touch the outside of the glove.
So you don't get contaminated.
You don't get sick. But if you look around, and I don't have any other trees that are close by, tree. This is a forsythia bush. It's one of the first flowering trees of spring. But the best part is lots of these little buds are coming on this tree. So this tree is nice and healthy. Look, this one it has a new sprout. Like you can tell the branch was going this way and it went, whoop, I'm gonna change and go this way. They're growing up towards the sun. So, gotta fill our hummingbird feeder. It's a little early for those. More springtime. Oh, woo. We talked about daffodils yesterday. Those will be daffodils. See how they grow very tall and skinny and they grow in a clump like this? So those are daffodils that are starting to bloom. I'm not sure. I'll have to ask one of my friends. I know it's not violets, because I love violets and pansies are my favorite. And over here, I know my lavender doesn't look like it's alive, but Jamie, can you get out of the sun a little bit so you can see the green? There's underneath here, you can see little green sprouts coming up on my lavenders. This one over here has a lot more. This one's looking really healthy. Look, little green lavender sprouts. And these are coming back to life. They're staying put. So lots of sign of spring. And lots of different kinds of gardening you can do. So I hope my friends and my families enjoyed today's Tinkerstream. And I hope you learned a lot about dirt and different ways to look at it. And if you have any comments or questions, be sure and send them along to me.
Or answers.
Oh,
Hey, a dandelion.
Dandelion! That's a really great sign of spring because that is a first pollinator. That means that the birds and the bees that come out right away in the spring will have something to eat. And we need the bees. We'll be doing things on bees in a couple weeks. So.
Oh boy.
So thanks you everybody. Have fun growing your own potatoes in hydroponics. And let's see if we can see anything in the soil stew yet. It might take us a couple days to notice. Oh, wait. Maybe not. Oh, look at Jay. There's a black line there. Do you see it? And then it goes up into the water. Oh, and there's still things precipitating down. Can you see the thing? Does the camera show the things coming down? Right there. So I'll have to take more video of this or pictures of this, and I'll send these along in my live stream as we go along. And I'm gonna leave this closed so it doesn't evaporate, so we don't have any loss of water. That looks pretty neat. So we had a lot of fun today. So these are your words for today. Hydroponics, which is growing food or plants in water, which we've got a couple of these started. Soil stew, which shows different kinds of nutrients and different kinds of soils. And compost. Don't throw that away. Compost. You can compost fruit and fruit peels. You can compost not anything that's not plastic. You can compost some paper, as long as it's not shiny. Cardboard composts. You can compost your yard waste. And don't forget, you got to feed the worms and those other animals too. I love our leaf pile. It's like its whole little leaf pile ecosystem. It's fun. And different kinds of rocks make different kinds of dirt, and different kind of rocks can be used for different things. Some of them are really pretty things, so you can make pretty gems out of them. And some rocks you can use for chalk.
Podolsky stones.
What's really fun, and here's something you might be able to do today if you're in a place that it's nice weather, and you go rock hunting. Some rocks, you put them in your hand and they're one color, but if you color on the sidewalk with them, they're a different color. That's, again, actually one test that geologists use to identify what kind of rock something is. So I hope you have a lot of ideas. I hope I've sparked a lot of ideas for you and maybe shown you dirt in a different light. So have fun, everybody. Enjoy your time in your garden, and take a look at what's in your dirt. Have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow at 10:30 for story time. Bye now.